What's up, guys? It's 7-Star Mike here, and today I wanted to show you dynamic support and resistance. So what do I mean by dynamic? Dynamic means it's constantly changing. So a regular support line, let's say a stock is at $11 and has a $10 support line. So it drops from 11 to 10 and bounces back up. Then let's say it goes to $11.30, comes back down to $10 and bounces. And let's say it goes up to $12, comes back down to $10 and bounces. That $10 is a static support, meaning $10 is always the number we're looking at for it to bounce. Dynamic support means the actual number that we're looking at is going to change. And in this case, I'm going to show you the 34 exponential moving average. Let's take a look. This is the chart for LEN, and this is today on a 1-minute chart. So each candle here represents a 1 minute of action, and the green line on the chart is the 34 moving average exponential. If we take a look, the stock was climbing early on and came back down, and it came back down to test this 34 exponential moving average. That's where it bounced. It came back down again, touched it, and bounced again. Came back down, touched it again, bounced. The 34 moving average right here is acting as resistance. You can see it's consolidating a little bit, but it's under the 34, and then it drops. Once it punches through, it comes back down, doesn't quite test it this time, but then it climbs again, drops one more time right to the 34 moving average, bounces again. Kind of plays with it a little bit here. It's going up, it's going down a little bit. Here, it's acting as resistance, and we kind of see the start of a downward trend for the rest of the day. Resistance at the 34, resistance, resistance, resistance. Kind of consolidating around it, resistance, resistance, and resistance. So if you look from here, at this point we have the high of the day, we have a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, so we're starting to see a downtrend here. Once we get to this point here, the entire rest of the day, it's just on a steady downtrend. And every time it pops, where does it pop? Right back to this 34 exponential moving average. You can see multiple times consolidating, drops, comes back to test it, drops, comes back to test it, drops, comes back to test it, and drops. So the 34 exponential moving average is one that we watch for a lot of stocks, a lot of tickers. It acts as a good moving support and resistance. And if you pull it up on some of the tickers that you like, you'll find that it probably respects that more often than not. Of course, there are times where it won't. There are tickers that don't necessarily respond to it as well as others. And even the same ticker on multiple days might not respond to it. But if you take a look at LEN today and pull up the moving average exponential, 34, you can see here multiple times where it's going to respect that line. And that'll help give you a dynamic support and resistance level. Again, dynamic meaning that it is a moving level. So each time it tests it as support or resistance, it's not going to be the same actual number, but it's going to test that and respect that multiple times. So even though the number is changing, that particular line, whatever the number happens to be when it tests it, it's moving, but it's still respecting that line as support and resistance. So that's another way to look at support and resistance, not as a specific line, not as a specific zone, but a moving number. And in this case, we're going to use the exponential moving average set to 34. And that is dynamic support and resistance. Thanks a lot. Happy trading.